came home from racing in Europe for 6 weeks. And then I got a message from one of my friends. His name's Jason Blinkhorn. And he's like, hey, I want to come join a relay team for us for Molokai. And I was like, wow, the stars are aligning. Like, it's time. I got to go. Like, I've wanted to do this race forever. So here we are, and because we did it in a relay too, it was just pure fun. Like, it was the first time in a long time that I could just paddle to enjoy paddling and not be so competitive, but feel more free, feel more play, childlike, exploratory. Like, okay, like let's paddle really hard to get onto this wave and surf it a little bit, see how that feels. Okay, maybe not so great. Let's tack left or go this way. Like, there was just so much fun to be had in that channel. And it was just, such a dream come true.
Welcome to the Renegade Podcast. Each episode, we explore the human connection we have with running as we deep dive into the stories of those who push the boundaries of human potential. Today, we're heading off the trails and into the surf. Maddi LeBlanc becomes a renegade, a force in nature on the water and a beacon of inspiration on the land. Maddie is a two-time Canadian national stand-up paddleboarding champion and Team Canada athlete. She's carved her path through the waves with an unrelenting passion and purpose. At just 27, Maddie's not only the top-ranked SUP athlete in Canada, but she's a global competitor who's taken on the world's toughest races. Fresh off a 2025 season where she dominated the European Tour races, Maddie's story is one of resilience, mental mastery, and an unwavering commitment to living fully in the pursuit of what sets her soul ablaze. Today, we dive into the heart of her journey. This is Maddi LeBlanc, and her wave is just getting started.
When you choose a flipper over a shoe, there's an athletic brew for you. Huh? Lame?
Right off the gate with a good one, Marky. I got one here. Whether you're surfing, supping, the Great Lakes, or out in your canoe, there's an athletic brew for you.
Oh, I like that one. Athletic light.
Mark, if you noticed here on my head.
Is that the new saguaro?
It is. It is. It's the new Path Projects hat that just dropped. It's lightweight. It's breathable. It also is what Path Projects likes to call the forget it's there. It's got like a sweat wicking brim. It's really soft, but it pulls that sweat from the forehead, keeps it out of your eyes, but you don't even know it's there. Got this wide bill. See how wide it is?
Yeah, I mean, that sun's not getting into those eyes. Yeah.
Nothing's getting into these eyes.
Nope.
So check it out, pathprojects.com. Use the code TRP10 and you can get 10% off your order for a limited time.
Wait, what was that code again?
That code is TRP10 for 10% off your order.
Wow.
For a limited time.
Limited time only.
Welcome to the Renegade Podcast. Each episode, we set off to explore that human connection that we all have with running and endurance sport. And we're happy that you joined us today. You found us today. You hate us today. We're just happy that you're here.
We don't discriminate. We just love you all, no matter what you're feeding back at us. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
And, if you enjoy the Renegade Podcast, we really appreciate if you do us a favor. Head on over to our YouTube, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Head on over to Apple or Spotify if that's where you listen to this podcast. Leave us a rating. Hopefully it's 5 out of 5. Subscribe. And if we could ask, share the podcast with one of your friends, your running buddies, your endurance buddies. Let's grow the Renegade Podcast and help keep getting these great guests to join us, because that's really what it's all about. We have the best guests join us each episode to help us be a little bit better at running, make running a little bit easier. Life is hard. The Renegade Podcast can make it easier.
Each guest makes us a little bit better of a person. We learn something. We share something. And you know what? We take it to heart. So we've had a lot of wonderful people over the years. So spoiler alert, everyone. I have done a deep dive into the world of SUP.
SUP? What's up?
What's up? I'm glad you asked. Stand-up paddleboarding is what's up. And not just that. But I needed to learn a lot more about the sport. Before I got into like the technical aspects, I needed to learn the slang. So my goal is to get Maddie to help me out with some of the slang that's associated with the sport, because
Okay.
this sport is closely tied to surfing. Like, think about surf culture. It has its own identity in,
Yeah.
communities that are, around areas where people sup. So, you know what? I don't want to be a kook or a grom, but we're gonna find some things out as I paddle on my foamy. That's right.
But no, we're so happy that you joined us, Maddie. Like, I think back we were talking to Joe and Jillian from Thrive Protein, and then afterwards, I was getting the pictures from their Instagram and whatnot. I'm looking on their Instagram feed, and I see you, and I'm like, Maddie, and then like, paddleboarding, but not just paddleboarding. It's like paddleboarding in these giant events, these big races in Europe and Hawaii and all this stuff. And I was like, mind blown, because we're from Canada. I live on Lake Erie. And I'm like, I know you can sup on Lake Erie, but can you surf? I dove deeper into your story, and it's fascinating.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was super stoked when I got your message on Instagram to come on the show. So I'm very excited to be here. Like, thank you so much for having me.
That's great. And so, so this is the Runegade podcast, where a lot of the time we're talking about running and trail running and all the, nutrition and things like that go into it. But there has to be some parallels between us and, stand up paddleboarding. For those that are new to the SUP world, what do you do to train for your competitions? Is there an element of running involved? I know on your Instagram we see some medicine ball work. There's a little bit of everything, I'm sure. What brought you to the world of paddleboarding, I guess, is what my first question should be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I feel like my story is actually kind of really cool with paddleboarding, because growing up, I was always that kid that wanted to try every sport. And my parents would have to honestly say, okay, Maddie, like, no, we have limits now, like you can't just kind of jump from one sport to the next. And I grew up playing very highly competitive soccer and swimming and dancing. And so when paddleboarding came along, it was kind of cool, because for me, it was a combination essentially of all of the sports that I got to do as a child and apply it to the sport that I love today so much. And it honestly started out, I was about 10 years old, and I saw these two guys bring one of their paddle boards to the beach down on Lake Huron in Sauble Beach. And I'll never forget just looking over at them, and they were like these giant yellow Nash SUP boards. So super old fashioned, super recreational boards, like definitely not a racing board. But I saw those boards and I looked at my parents and I said, like, what is that? And they had no idea either. And my mom was super encouraging. She said, when they come back in from their paddle, you should go up to them and ask what that is. And I was 10, so I was like pretty shy. And I looked at her, I was like, no, like I just shook my head. I was like, no. And I'll never forget, she looked at me and she was like, Maddie, you will regret that if you don't ask. So I did when they came back in, and they said, these are stand-up paddle boards. Would you like to try? And from that moment on, I was just so addicted to the feeling of standing on something that was so much bigger than myself, but the view that I got of like the crystal clear water that day. And I remember, like, for the first time in my life, I actually felt kind of tall, and like I'm 5'2" now, so I'm not tall. I never got tall, but the perspective that I had, it was enough for me to fuel this fire of like wanting to get a paddleboard. So I begged my parents for years, and because I was that kid that always wanted to do every sport, they actually said to me with the board, they're like, okay, we need to make sure that you do really like this, because this is a lot of money. Like SUP was kind of just booming actually at this time. And so they were expensive. And my parents said, all right, you know what? If you really want a board, you got to save up for it. You got to work for it. And maybe a few years from now for Christmas, we'll like split it. Like you can pay for half and we'll pay for half. And that'll be your big gift kind of thing. And I was like, okay, you know what? 10, right? So I saved up for quite a few years. And then in 2012, that Christmas, that was when I got my first board. And it was an awesome Jimmy Sticks. It was a 10-6 recreational board. And I've just honestly fallen in love with paddleboarding ever since.
Awesome. And have you had the opportunity to kind of replay that that experience to like a young kid that's like waiting on the shoreline when you're coming back in, and they're just like, what is it that you're doing there? And just like seeing that the same kind of excitement that you had in your eyes. Have you seen that in somebody else yet?
Oh man, I love this question because how I got into it and just how simple it was, those two men just saying like, yeah, here's a paddleboard you want to try. I just apply that every single time I'm paddling, in the sense that like, you know, I don't always have time to offer like, hey, do you want to try my board? Like I've got places to be and things to do, but I do make note to like, I wave at people, I smile at people like during training sessions. Like I don't just kind of fly by somebody. You know, I used to paddle past like other people on the canal and I would try to wave at them and they would ignore me. But I get it, when you're training, you're so focused, but I kind of don't like to be that athlete. I don't want to be that person because yeah, somebody standing on the shore could see what I'm doing and that could change their life, like how it changed mine. So yeah, I work at a kids camp this summer, actually, with South Niagara Canoe Club. And it's been really fun because during our free time with the kids, we get them on boards and they're just treating it like a floating dock, right? Like they're jumping off these things, they're swimming like crazy. And I love that. Like I just want them to have fun and like enjoy it for what it is. And so I find that's like been a really fun way actually to give back too.
That's awesome. Maddie, I think about the story where you got your board for Christmas. It's Canada. How long did you take? How long was it before you headed out for your first SUP? Was it in the springtime?
That's right. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, because I got the board Christmas of 2012, but I did not take it out. It did not hit the water. Its maiden voyage was the spring of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed that when when I followed you on social media and Instagram, Maddie has like a California spirit here, that born in Ontario, but you know, I see the surf vibes, I see this supping, this big ocean, but I've known you shared that you love surfing and supping in the Great Lakes. Like, help us understand that. Like, you've been on the ocean, you've been in seas, you've been in the Great Lakes. What is it about the Great Lakes that you totally enjoy?
Oh my goodness. I think I just love that the Great Lakes are just like, to me, it's one big freshwater playground. Like we can be creative, we can express ourselves on these beautiful bodies of water. And for so long, like I've met so many people in my life that have said like, oh, I wish I could learn to surf, and oh, I want to go somewhere warm to do it, or like, oh, I wish I could do that here. And I feel like my mission has always been like, well, let's flip the script a little bit. You can actually, the Great Lakes do provide surf. It does provide leisurely activities and a place for you to explore and just have fun. So when I got into paddling and started out recreationally, I was enjoying it so much. Just that aspect of discovery, that aspect of play. Where can I go? What can I do? Where? And then when I got into racing, I started to realize that, well, okay, everywhere I'm traveling around Southern Ontario to race, we're not always in flat water. I have a body of water through my hometown that's called the Welland Canal, and that's where I started. And it's always flat. It's a man-made body of water. It's actually just sanctioned as well for recreational crafts, so no motorboats will ever go through here or anything like that. So when I got exposed to rough water, I realized, I was like, okay, well, maybe I have to learn how to surf, because I'm dealing with waves, I'm dealing with wind, I'm dealing with chop. And so in 2017, I believe, that fall, I just Googled, I'm like, okay, surf lessons on the Great Lakes. And that's when I found a company called Surf the Greats. And so I took a surf lesson with them on Lake Erie in my backyard. Like literally the spot was like 20 minutes from my house. And from that point too, like, oh my God, I looked like such a kook. Like if you were to go back and see videos of me that my first lesson, oh my God, such a kook. but but same thing, like just so addicting. And like, I wanted to get better and better. And so I've just kind of applied my passion for like knowledge and curiosity and play to the Great Lakes and to different kinds of environments. And so I love that freshwater can provide us so much.
And I imagine that you've logged a lot of hours over the years on that board across different bodies of water, as Todd mentioned before, too, all over the world. What's the coolest living thing that you saw while you're on top of your board and you're just like looking around, you're like, oh no, that thing is getting a little too close to me? Is it giant snapping turtles? Is it a shark? Is it a dolphin? Octopus? I could go on.
Shark. Even in Lake Ontario, I think it'd be sharks. That's where
merman.
I'm scared. Yeah, merman.
I see those all the time. No. Oh man, this is another great question. And I love telling this story because I have been to so many places all around the world. Like I've been to the Azores, I've been to Tahiti, I've been to China, and the coolest wildlife I've ever seen was here in Canada. And it was in 2021. I was working for a surf company out in Tofino, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. And I literally had only paddled, I don't even think I was a kilometer offshore. I was maybe like 500 meters. And there was like this beautiful island called Tonquin Island. And it's off the coast of Mackenzie Beach in Tofino. And so I told my boss, like literally it was just before one of my shifts. I was like, I'm just going out for a quick paddle and just like quick 30 minutes, like hard effort. And then I'll come back. And so I didn't go far offshore. I went out to this island and I just heard this like huge crash, like right off to my left. And I'm kind of thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? Like, is it waves hitting the side of this island that I can't see because I'm on the other side? But I ended up like turning and then all of a sudden right in front of me, like, oh man, I'm trying to think of how I can describe how close over audio, but it was so close to me. I saw the whole of a gray whale, like it had blown, it like spit out like water and it was like, so it went, so that's what I heard. Oh, and I was like, oh my God, there's a gray whale like right in front of like this massive whale right in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God. And its whole like tail came up and then went back down. And then once it went back down, I'll never forget my speed coach was on my paddleboard and I was wearing my heart rate monitor so I could see my heart rate. It just went boom, like it spiked because I was like, oh my God, like this moment of awe, but also this moment of panic being like, there is a giant, like massive animal underneath my board now. Like, I gotta go.
It's a friendly whale.
Just craziest thing I've ever seen.
And you said a kilometer. Like, is it typical? Like, what's the farthest offshore you've paddled and felt safe to do so? Like, again, this is all new to me. So I'm just thinking of like losing sight of land, being like so far out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I've done a few paddles now that they're considered crossings. So you usually start in one landmass and then you go to the next. And so I'd say I've had that feeling actually a few times. I've participated in a race that was called the Lake Ontario Paddleboard Crossing Race in 2017 and 2018. And I remember that race was pretty cool, like being in the middle of Lake Ontario and like you can still see Toronto in the skyline because we were paddling from Niagara to Toronto. But there was just still this beautiful sense of awe that you're like, wow, like there's so much water just around me, like, and there's so much deep water below me too. And then last year I did a race as well called the Crossing for Cystic Fibrosis. So we got dropped off in the middle of the Gulf Stream between Bimini in the Bahamas and Lake Worth in Florida. And we paddled 32 miles. So same thing, you kind of you get dropped off at this waypoint and you're like, wow, I'm in the middle of the freaking ocean right now. Like, this is so cool. So yeah, I've been very fortunate to have that feeling a few times.
Oh, and Todd,
that'd be amazing. Like, how do you navigate, Matt? Like, 32 miles, I'm assuming that you don't see land. So you got to point the board in the right direction and hope it's the right direction.
Yeah, so all of those crossing races I've ever done, you have to have an escort boat, you have to have a safety boat, and
Okay.
I've always been so fortunate to just have like really good captains on my side that they create what's called a run line. And so it's a line on a map that you follow that kind of gives you a sense of direction to your destination. So every time I'm in the water, I usually like every 30 minutes, I'll like yell at my captain and be like, hey, am I like on the run line? Am I still doing okay? You know, like stay on my left, make sure I'm going straight. And yeah, my captains have always just been so great to be like, yep, you're good. Or nope, come this way, like move here or there. So yeah, I've been very fortunate.
Okay, so there's your captain is like in a boat close by then when you're doing those. Okay, gotcha. So that's great. So are they the keeper of the snacks when you're out there for like a long ride, or who's holding on to those?
Heck yeah. Last year when I did the crossing for cystic fibrosis, my mom was actually my support crew on the boat. So my mom was holding all the snacks, and I tell her, I'm like, toss it. Yeah.
The Renegade listeners, we're having fun. Maddie's a great spirit, but you're actually the top athlete in Canada in SUP. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, this is actually a really cool time we're chatting because we just had our Eastern qualifier championships in Collingwood this past weekend. So I've been able to defend my title 3 years in a row now. I got to change that in my Instagram bio.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big announcement here.
And maybe it goes back. Yeah. And maybe it goes back to Mark's original question. What does training for the top performing SUP athlete in Canada, what does that look like? Like, how do you actually train? I would say that a lot of endurance is required to be SUP in 32 miles and strong legs, strong upper body. And I'm going to go on a limb here. You got to have strong feet. So
yeah. Oh my goodness. I love all these questions because my coach, his name is Larry Kane, and he is a 2-time Olympian actually. And he's like in his 60s now, but he's awesome. I love this guy. He's so smart. And he writes my programs honestly to perfection. So I guess to start, like training, it can look different depending on what season you're in. So my off season versus my on season looks very different every year. Usually what I'll do is at the beginning of the off season, I pick and choose what's called A races and also what's called B races. So A races being races that I really want to do, they're top priority. I'm not sacrificing anything for them. And then most of the training program is written so that it caters to those races and that kind of style and adaptation, versus the B races are races that I'm like, okay, I'm going to attend. They might be like smaller local races. I can almost maybe treat them even as like training sessions and not necessarily races, but they're still ones that I want to go to and help develop me as an athlete. So, that kind of helps determine what my season is going to look like even in the first place. And then the off season, I'm typically in the gym 5 days a week and then cardio or paddling 2 to 3 days a week. And then in my on season, I'm paddling and or cardio, which is actually primarily running, funny enough, 6 days a week. And then strength drops down to 3 days a week in the on season. Wow. So yeah, it is so much fun how it looks in terms of like, my coach is so cool. Like he'll always tell me like, Maddie, if you can't get out for a paddle today, whether that be like the weather, like if it's storming or in the winter when it starts to get cold, and if it's like our water's like really frozen and it's not safe to go out, the alternative is actually running. He's always told me, he's like, running is the next best thing that you can do if you cannot paddle, because the oxygen that's required for your legs when you're running is very similar to the oxygen that's required and the energy expenditure that's required when you're paddling. So I love it. I love running. And I've been like trying to learn more about shoes. So if anybody, any of your listeners can help educate me on like really good shoes. That'd be awesome because I am more of like a barefoot athlete, but my physio the other day was like, Maddie, you might need to invest in a good pair of shoes with support. So I have no idea what that means, but maybe we'll find out.
Well, you come to the right place, Maddie.
Yeah.
We can talk people's ears off.
Paluvas. The Paluvas. We're friends with or Paluva is a friend of the Renegade podcast. So shout out to Mark, Susan, Paluva, excellent fellow. Yeah, so these things are pretty cool, aren't they, Todd?
They are. It's just fun. It's fun. Like once you have strong feet and you spend some time strengthening the feet, they just don't want to fit into a normal shoe anymore. So like having the toe shoes, not only do they make your feet really strong and healthy, you get some really great looks. People look at you like, what are you wearing?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what am I wearing?
Yeah, let me tell you. So, Maddie, Todd and I work together. So every once in a while, I see Todd at work with him. It's just like, oh, tell me more. Tell me more about those things. So he's definitely an ambassador. So and a supporter of Paluva and Ultra and multiple path projects. A little bit of everything. They've been good to us. So
a little bit of everything. We've got some good friends of the podcast, and they help us out.
Hey Renegades, let's talk about Paluva, game changers in the world of footwear. Founded by primal living legend Mark Sisson and his son Kyle, Paluva crafts minimalist shoes that let your feet move the way nature intended. Their 5-toe design, like the Strand lightweight trainer, gives each toe its own space display, grip, boosting balance and strength, and proprioception with every step. 0 drop soles, and just right cushioning that deliver that barefoot feel without sacrificing comfort or style. Whether you're crushing a trail run, hitting the gym, or just living your daily life, Paluva is not just about function. They've nailed style, making these shoes versatile enough for a date night or a dog walk. Paluva's redefining how we walk one liberated foot at a time. Curious? Head to paluva.com and scan your feet for a perfect fit and use the code RUNEGADE for 15% off your order. Step into freedom. Check out Paluva today. Your feet will thank you.
The serendipity, Mark, we always talk about this in our episodes. The serendipity. We have a supper who runs. That's a great endurance training. But what I'm trying to like imagine that when you're on the SUP and you're in the race, what tires the first? Is it your legs? How do you work the legs into it? Because I can't envision it's just all upper body. Like, Maddie, help us understand that. Help us unpack that a little bit. What is like the proper SUP motion?
Absolutely. So basically the mechanics of the stroke essentially is, I always explain it to people as like you're placing your paddle in the water and you almost want to use it like a pole vaulter, how they stick their pole in the ground and then they like push their body like up and over the pole and then past the high jump like bar beam thing. So paddling's kind of the same, where you're sticking your paddle in the water and you're trying to pull your body past the paddle, or even more so push your body past the paddle. Because a lot of people do think like when you're watching the stroke, it looks like it's all arms, it looks like it's all upper body. And it's so funny too, because like I used to swim competitively, so I have that like V shape to my back too. So people are always like, oh, it's your upper body. But I find when I paddle, it's always my legs that just get gassed first. Like I'm using the power in my legs to push my body past my paddle. And so we always try to emphasize when we're teaching it as well that you should be using bigger muscles over smaller muscles when you're paddling. So that being your core, your quads, and your lats primarily. I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, my lower back kind of starts to hurt after a while, or like my arms hurt a lot. And so I explain to people, I'm like, okay, well, if you're using your arms and that tells me like you're actually physically pulling, that means you're using your biceps and your triceps a little bit too much. So try to say like loosen your grip on the paddle, or really think about placing your body weight onto the paddle to generate power. And then the actual momentum comes from using your hips and driving with your legs to actually get yourself past the paddle. And that's where, your legs should feel like they're burning. Like it almost feels like I'm squatting like a million times when when I'm paddling. Like it's always my legs that are gassed first, for sure.
That's interesting. I would have never guessed that, because every time I've paddled it or supped it, my arms get tired. And now that you're explaining this to me, I'm always pulling too much, and I never thought about pushing and going over the paddle. Well, with that, like, how fast do you actually travel in the water, Maddie?
Yeah, so that depends on, obviously, we're a Mother Nature based sport. So just like running, you have to consider factors like the wind or what's kind of going on around you. But for, let's just say, hypothetical sake, if you're like on flat water and there's not really a whole lot of wind, I usually can travel anywhere between like 5.5 to 6 miles an hour, like maybe closer to 6 miles if I'm like really pushing hard for a race. But I'd say that's kind of like a good general average speed. I've been very lucky that the 32-mile paddles that I've ever done in my lifetime have always been in environments that kind of support what we call downwind paddling. So it's when the wind's at your back or the swell or the waves are at your back, and then you use that to your advantage to get to your destination faster. So when I did the crossing, I'll never forget the first 36 kilometers of that race. Like I'm paddling at like, I'd say like level 2, level 3, like heart rate zone. Like I wasn't pushing that hard, but my watch is buzzing like 450 minutes a kilometer or like 5 minutes a kilometer. I'm like, oh my God, I'm barely trying. And it's just because we had the Gulf Stream with us as well. So the Gulf Stream was carrying us like crazy. And then a few weeks ago, I was in Hawaii participating in a race as well called Molokai to Oahu. That was 32 miles. And same thing. I think I wasn't as fast, but it was like 6:30 minutes. So not too bad for having like a lot of wind to deal with, but same thing. It's just like you can use the environment to your advantage. And those are really fun when you're going so far, right? 32 miles, it's like 51 kilometers roughly, I think.
Yeah. That's a lot. So you were mentioning sometimes when people are doing it wrong, they're really like straining their muscles and that. So what are the most common injuries that a paddleboarder could experience then, or that even you've experienced over the years?
Yeah, definitely. Lower back is super, super, super common. And essentially the lower back goes out because a lot of people, not only is the pulling motion kind of something that's like quite often a mistake for SUP, but bending at the waist. So instead of having some ankle flexion and knee flexion to get yourself over top of the blade, we call it like an A-frame position. So if you see like dragon boaters kind of set themselves up for a stroke, stand-up paddling is very similar to that. But then our lower body has that ankle and that knee flex as well, which is where the feet play like such a major role in paddling, which is kind of cool too. But when that flexion isn't there and the legs are straight, but people just bend at the waist like this, like if you think of like those birds, like, that do the like tip in the water kind of thing. Like if people paddle like that can cause a low back to go. And our low back is posture muscles, right? They're not power generating muscles. So it's a very easy one to strain with improper technique.
Sure. And one of the other things I was going to ask you too, so you're mentioning in the winter, you kind of switch over to more running or for cardio and that. So there aren't any YMCA pools that allow you to come in like after hours to like rip around and practice your boy turns and things like that, or boy turns, boy. Yeah, right. Sorry, trying to use the lingo,
Lingo. We got the lingo, Marky.
Yeah, I was gonna like pipe in with the downwinder earlier there too, but you covered that base there. So
yeah, no, I wish the pools were big enough. Like we honestly just don't have pools big enough, because our race boards are 14 feet long. That's the standard length of a stock board. I recently, for Molokai to Oahu in Hawaii, I was on an unlimited board, which was 17 feet long. So they're just, yeah, they're too long. Like you take 2 strokes and then you're already at the other end of the pool. Like,
Wow. And
yeah.
these aren't inflatable, right? Like these are, I guess, what's the term for it? They're always like, it's just a board, right? Like it's not like, so we have a friend that brought over her inflatable board, and it's cute because it, like, shrinks right down and you throw it in your trunk and use it anywhere. But these are the race boards, right? So 17 foot, like how do you haul something like that around? Like how do you, I guess you're shipping your own overseas when you're going to race, obviously, right? So it's not like you're borrowing anything there on the other side of the world when you go to China, right? So that must be quite the process too, to be hauling around a 17-foot board at an airport and places like that, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy. Like I have been fortunate that for most of the places I have traveled around the world, I do have friends or I have family that are like, yeah, you can borrow my board, like no
nice.
worries. So I am very lucky that I would say 90% of the traveling I've been able to do, I actually don't have to lug it around. But this year was the very first year where I did bring one of my race boards from Canada to Europe, and it got damaged in shipping, and I was, my heart broke. It was 2 days before my race too, so I had to patch it up as best as I could. And the looks I got in the airport, oh my God. Yeah. Like carrying around this 14-foot board, people were like, what is that? And then I think a lot of people are just angry too, because they're like, you're taking up so much space in this tiny hallway.
Okay. How heavy would something like that be?
Oh, well, race boards, they're actually very light. So mine, from Flying Fish, it's 10 kilos, like just less than 10 kilos. So I think that's like 20-ish. Yeah, around 20.
Yeah, 22 pounds. Yeah.
What kind of gets my goat on this, Maddie, is now, was it damaged in Canada, or did the country that you're going to compete in damage the board because they wanted to keep you out of the water so their athletes could actually
conspiracy?
Have a chance? Yeah. Conspiracy, because if it's Canada, like Air Canada or whoever it was, come on, you got to take care of Maddie's board. Like,
no, well, and it was so funny too, because like I called like 2 months ahead of time before I even booked my flight, and I spoke with someone on the phone and said, okay, this is what I'm bringing, like please like reserve special sport equipment for me for my ticket, like can you make a note on it somewhere? And the lady was like, yeah, no worries, like because I did fly with Air Canada, and I showed up at the airport in Toronto like 2 months later at the desk with my board, and the lady was like, what is this thing? I was like, oh, the thing I called like 2 months ago about. And it was pretty funny because the lady was like, well, I'm so sorry because the flight that you're booked on, like the plane's not big enough to bring your board. And I was like, what?
the plane's less than 17 feet.
Right? Crazy. So crazy.
Oh, that would be frustrating. Oh, wow.
Renegades, strap in for a gear drop that's going to supercharge your running and style. We are stoked to spotlight Path Project's latest apparel, built for runners who live for the grind and want to look damn good doing it. First up, the James Peak shirt, a trail-ready beast with Toray Air Prime Flex fabric. It's crazy breathable, sweat-slaying, and stretchy, keeping you fresh from the sunrise sprints to those post-run hangouts. Next, the Fortuna Hybrid Short. This is your do-it-all wingman, crafted with Delta Weave, recycled nylon and spandex. These water-resistant, quick-drying shorts are perfect for the run, swims, or just chilling, with slick pockets for your essentials. And don't you sleep on their famous Graves PX running short, re-engineered with feather-light Prime Flex fabric and secure. They're built for crushing all your miles. Founded in 2018, Path Projects delivers runner-first gear with soul. Check them out at pathprojects.com. Make 2025 your fiercest running year yet. And thank you to Path Projects. You can use the code TRP10 for 10% off your order for a limited time. So check them out.
Yeah.
Well, during these events, like you go to race, walk us through what a race circuit is, the race season, like what type of races, what type of distances are you doing? And during those races, how do you fuel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. Yeah, so basically in stand-up paddling, very much like the world of running, there's so many disciplines, right? You can have like track events that are short sprints. You can have long distance events. You can have ultra events. Like there's so many different diverse sides of stand-up paddleboarding. And I would say the downwind races that we've kind of talked about already, like the 32-mile ones, I would almost put them in the category of like ultra. And there's some crazy ultra paddling races too, for sure, that I haven't done, but that's a whole other world. Maybe hopefully someday I'll explore. But for the most part, I compete in 3 disciplines. So the sprinting discipline, which is anywhere between 100 or 200 meters. Technical racing as well, which can be anywhere between 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers. And technical racing, you have a course laid out for you on whichever body of water. Normally it's an ocean and normally there's waves. So there's texture and it kind of makes it fun and quite challenging. But tech races can happen on flat water as well. But you have to go around the course that's been laid out and do all the buoy turns, all the pivot turns as fast as you can. And then there's also long distance racing. And long distance racing usually is anywhere between 10 to 20 kilometers. And then past 20K, then we're in the ultra category.
So I've got a question for you. What would you rather, run uphill or paddle into the wind?
Oh my gosh, because they're basically the same.
What's it going to be, Maddie?
They're both so hard because, like, you know that feeling in your legs when it's like the lactic acid is building and you're like, oh my god, like I'm suffering. Like
I can't do it anymore. You're kind of stuck.
What paddling in the wind feels like your legs kind of start to feel like okay, like we're getting tired here, you know, like when's it going to stop? But I guess maybe I'd run up a hill because I could see the end, you know, like the hill has a distance, like there's a goal in mind, but like when you paddle into the wind, sometimes it depends on the course. You may still have a long ways to go.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that like no matter what, you're like, I've got to get myself out of this, right? If you're in the middle of a lake somewhere, you have to get to your destination. So whether you suck it up now and keep on going, or you take your time doing it, you're still going against that wind, right? Where I'm sure with running uphill, you could start walking and kind of take your time with it, right? But
that's right. There's always an easy way out, I guess.
Traveling all over the world, is there a body of water that you're like, I haven't had a chance to race in that yet, and I just want to, dip my toes in there? I want that opportunity. Or is there some sort of famous race that you just have yet to participate in that is top on your list of goals?
Oh my goodness, if you asked me that question 3 weeks ago, I would have said Molokai to Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, the fact that I was able to do that race, like for me, like I could die tomorrow and I'll be so happy I did that race. Like that was a race I've been wanting to do ever since I got into stand-up paddleboarding. And so right now I feel like I'm actually kind of looking for that next thing. I'm looking for that next race that's like, ooh, maybe what is the next thing that like I kind of like to call it my like scary race. Like it scares me and it challenges me, but I really want to do it. Like M2O has been that for me for probably the past 8 years. And so I don't know what's going to be next.
That's exciting though. I'm glad we got a chance to chat with you after that race too, just to hear about how you did. And it sounds like it would have just, I can't imagine that backdrop of paddleboarding in Hawaii and, just in that entire environment, the water, everything, the smells. It must have been beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. It was truly a surreal experience. Like when I first got my board and started recreationally paddling, I'll never forget, I came across a magazine, and on the cover of this paddling magazine was a famous SUP athlete. His name's Connor Baxter. We kind of call him like the GOAT of our sport. And he was paddling in the Kauai Channel in Hawaii. And the cover of the photo was like, Connor Baxter wins M2O. And so I started researching, like, what is Molokai to Oahu? And I learned that it's this 32-mile paddleboard challenge in the Channel of Bones. That's what the Kauai Channel is known for. And it's just because it's such a treacherous body of water. And way back in the day when the Hawaiians, like the natives, would travel from island to island, like people would die in this channel because that's how rough this water could get. But on really good days, it can provide beautiful conditions to paddle in. And so I kind of saw that and was like, wow, that would be a really cool race to do one day, but I need to kind of earn my stripes to get there. And this year I got called up super last minute. Like I came home from racing in Europe for 6 weeks, and then I got a message from one of my friends. His name's Jason Blinkhorn, and he's like, hey, I want to come join a relay team for us for Molokai. And I was like, wow, the stars are aligning. Like it's time. I gotta go. Like I've wanted to do this race forever. So here we are, and because we did it in a relay too, it was just pure fun. Like it was the first time in a long time that I could just paddle to enjoy paddling and not be so competitive, but feel more free, feel more play, childlike, exploratory. Like, okay, like let's paddle really hard to get onto this wave and surf it a little bit, see how that feels. Okay, maybe not so great. Let's tack left or go this way. Like there was just so much fun to be had in that channel, and it was just such a dream come true, honestly.
Oh, it's amazing. And wow.
Maddie, you mentioned that you finished the big event. Now you're searching for the next one. We've had a few guests on who kind of share that after their big event, how do they view their next challenge? You have something big in front of you and it fills your thoughts and your days and your training plans, and then you accomplish it. How do you come to terms, or how do you actually approach that to stay healthy and come to terms with that so that you can search for your next event?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been something actually that's been really hard for me as an athlete to kind of approach in like a very healthy, balanced way, because I'm sure you guys can tell, like when I'm all in on something, I'm all in. I'm like 110%, and I eat, sleep, drink, think, feel whatever that event is going to be. And so like last year, the very first time I like really felt it so intensely was after the crossing for cystic fibrosis. Like I had signed up for that race 6 months out. So in January of 2024, and then it happened in June 2024. And I'll never forget when it was over, like I actually did kind of have like some post race depression. Like I kind of was like, oh, wow, yeah, like I did this thing that took up so much of my days, so much of my thoughts. Like I did anything and everything I could to feel prepared for that race, and now it's over, and what do I do? And I think I'm so grateful and I'm so lucky that I have such a supportive family. I have so many great friends that kind of help keep me grounded when I feel like my dreams are kind of taking me off a little too far. And so usually in those moments, I can like be present with where I'm at. And so I'll enjoy like more time with my friends, more time with my family. I'll pick up some books. I'll actually like read a little bit. I love Sudoku puzzles. I'm like crazy about them. So like I'll sit in the morning and take an hour to just chill and read or do puzzles. And I just kind of find simple habits and simple things to like kind of bring me back to earth when I feel like my dreams are taking me off a little too far. So that's such a great question, because I feel like I'm actually doing that now after Molokai as well. I'm just trying to be like, okay, like let's slow down a little. Let's chill out,
Get to those Sudokus.
It is super tough. And like how do you find the finish line? So when you have your big event, do you find the finish line a relief, or do you find it to be super happy, or both at the same time? Like, how do you view those finish lines?
I think it depends on the race for sure. Last year in the crossing for cystic fibrosis, the last hour and a half of that race was like the worst paddling I've ever had in my whole entire life, because the conditions after we had the speed of the Gulf Stream with us, I'd say like after that 37 kilometer mark, it was like a light switch had turned on, and Mother Nature just went like, all right, here you go. Like, let's have at her. And the skies turned black, and the the waves got so much bigger. Like, I swear we probably had like at least 4 to 6 foot waves, like just coming at us completely from the east. So it was totally side chop. And that last hour and a half, I was like paddling on my left-hand side the whole time. Like, you couldn't even switch on your right. There was no point paddling on your right. And so that race with that finish line, I was relieved. I was like, oh my God, thank God this torture is over. But this year, like with Molokai to Oahu, like to accomplish that dream, like it was probably the first time in a race ever in my life where I didn't want to get to the finish line because I was just having so much fun out in that channel. And then it's like all of a sudden, okay, like, I mean, 6.5 hours passed by, but like to me, it felt like 5 minutes. And I saw the line and I completely broke down. I started crying like so hard. I'm like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe this girl that comes from the land of ice and snow got to finish this freaking paddle in Hawaii. Like, that was, I wouldn't say it was a relief. That to me was just a moment of pure joy and pure stoke and happiness. And so, yeah, I'd say to answer that question, it depends on the race.
And I can imagine for that one, you just kept on paddling. That you're just like, no, I'm not done. I'm just gonna do it again.
I just kept going towards like Diamond Head or something. I didn't have to turn into the bay. I should have just kept going.
Now, Maddie, you mentioned that during that race, you were paddling on your left, and it made no sense to go to your right. Mark taught me this before the episode. Are you a goofy footer?
Yeah, I am. Goofy. Are you regular or are you goofy?
Oh, I think I'm regular most of the time.
All right.
Okay, I think this is perfect timing though to try out AI's slang that it produced for the SUP culture. So let me know how bad this is, and I'll try to be as expressive as possible. Yo, you kooky grum. Okay. Quit fluttering your blade like a newbie on a foamy ice up. Does that make sense? Okay. Grab your quiver, pick a board and some rocker, and hit those bumps for a downwinder that'll have you pumping the rails like a pro. Just don't botch the boy turn, or you'll be leashed on the chop, losing your glide and looking like you forgot your stance. Sup it, regular or goofy, and track straight to the nose of glory. How lame was that?
Oh my God.
Like if you took me out with your friends and I started spouting
Mark passes a supper right now.
would I get left out in the
You'd end up on Kook of the Day on Instagram.
Kook of the Day.
Oh my God. It's like too much slang in one sentence. That's
Well, maybe the subculture will reach out to us and send us some emails and let us know how great Mark or how upset
he's been
Mark they are.
banned. He's been banned.
yeah, wrongful Mark's been banned.
Don't rent a foamy to this guy.
Yeah. Don't rent an ice up to this guy.
Yeah, ice up. There you go. What was I going to ask you? Oh, okay. So one of the things that we kind of glazed over a little bit earlier, though, is that you are also a fellow podcaster. So what can you tell us? Promote your podcast. Let us know how exciting it is and what kind of guests you have on and what kind of areas you adventure in conversation with your guests.
Well, I really do appreciate that, actually, honestly, because yeah, seriously, I love running, and I know what it's like to listen to like a very specific podcast that's like, this is my avenue, So it's nice to shout out the other sports and other people doing really cool things. And so I'm the co-host of a podcast that's called the Rise and Glide podcast by Paddleboarding. And so Paddleboarding is actually very similar to Strava, basically. It's like the Strava for anybody in the paddling world. But I mean, funny enough, I've used it for runs though too. It's a GPS tracking app that it's really cool too because it has like a live tracking feature on it, and you can send like digital flares if you're ever in trouble on the water. Your emergency contacts get a text every time you start your paddle, every time you end your paddle. So it's just, it's a cool app.
That's awesome.
But the podcast itself, I co-host it with Holly Pye, and she's a stand-up paddleboarder from the UK. and she's been getting into foiling and windsurfing as well. So she's just an incredible human being. And we have the privilege to interview and talk to many other paddlers as well that come from different backgrounds. Like they're not always just stand-up paddlers like myself and Holly. We talk to prone paddleboarders. We talk to community leaders, people who are running paddling clubs, like people run running clubs. So yeah, we talk to anyone and everyone. We've even spoken to like a blind paddler. His name was Dean Dunbar. So cool.
Oh, cool.
Like, yeah, just really neat. We get to have awesome conversations with really awesome people.
Best. That's amazing. It sounds like really fascinating podcasts, and I know I'm going to be your next fan, so looking forward to learning more from yourself and Holly.
We experienced a bit of technical difficulty towards the end of this episode. We lost connection. One thing that Runkle Mark and myself are known for, other than being beta hosts, are our challenges with Riverside. We love Riverside FM, but sometimes we have a little bit of ghosts in the machine, so nothing to worry about. But we wanted to thank Maddie for joining us on an episode, sharing her story, and becoming a renegade. You can find Maddie on Instagram, her handle at Maddie_LeBlanc. You can find her podcast, The Rise and Glide, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can check her out on her website, MaddieLeBlanc.com. We thank you for listening and tuning into this episode of The Renegade. If you liked what you heard, if you didn't like what you hear, send us a note to renegadepodcast@gmail.com. That's RUNEGADE podcast@gmail.com. We read everything. We love the feedback. We may respond, we may not respond, but we love the social engagement. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing to our YouTube, following us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. Like, share, tell one of your friends about the podcast. Anything to grow the Renegade. You know, life is hard. This podcast can help make it just a bit easier. Remember, in a world of runners, be a renegade.